Good morning, my friends. It's Saturday, October 17th. It's the first full day of the 11th moon cycle of 2020. I pulled out the cards ahead of time, and I really could have done this video technically yesterday when this new moon came in the afternoon. However, I kind of taken aback by the cards, and it required me to sit with it a little bit, and actually we took prayer ties down to Osasane last night, and I feel at peace right now to discuss the reading. And before I get into it, I would like to invite you to hit the like button, the thumbs up, if you're enjoying this video, to subscribe to our channel, because that helps Google to support us if they know that we have subscribers. Please send your comments to moonstar@moonstarlodge.com, and that's below in the comment section. Also, I am taking appointments, social distanced appointments, so we can do them here if you're local in our space, or we can do them on Skype. That being said, you're welcome to reach out for some personal communication about your situation, and more information is on our website. Again, that's listed in the area below this video. So let's talk about this particular new moon. It's the 11th new moon, so here we are, well into the autumn. Our dates are a little bit different than that because, again, this is set up, this medicine wheel, as if it was a perfect year starting on winter solstice, but for us, this year, you know, that only happens every 19 years as moon cycles ebb and flow. So it's the 11th moon cycle out of 13. The grandmother whose time we are in this new moon is called Walks Tall Woman. So she is a woman of integrity and maturity, and I will speak more about her exact attributes in a little while. The next grandmother whose time comes on in the middle of November, actually, is called Gives Praise Woman, and the final grandmother is Becomes Her Vision. So these are grandmothers who have evolved around the wheel in such a way as it's less about learning lessons and taking on new teachings. It's the integration and how we have best assumed what we have learned and taken them into our life. There will be another video in the next few days released about the medicine wheel. It will be the second one in this series, and we'll talk more about those kinds of issues in that video. Specifically, I want to talk today about this period between October 16th and October 31st, which is a full moon, and it's a micro blue moon, meaning it's the second full moon in a calendar month, which is not an indigenous attribute. However, it's an important one because it is a full moon that's happening on Halloween, and the veil is very much open. And what I mean by that is the atmospheric conditions, so the sunny days like we're having today and the cool, crisp, clear air in the evenings gives the opportunity to literally thin the restrictions, or thin the veil, which is an old spiritualist term, which separates our reality from the reality of our ancestors and the angels, guides, totems, and teachers who walk with us in spirit. It's much more common to experience spiritual things because it's easier for them energetically. It takes as much energy for us to communicate with spirit as it does for them to communicate and interact with us. So many cultures around the world experience this. If you think of the Iroquoian Day of the Dead, which is October 25th, and it's called Owagat. The Mexican Day of the Dead, the Los Angelitos. There are Days of the Dead all over the world in this particular moon cycle because it is so easy for spirit to walk with us. And this, as I mentioned earlier when I pulled the reading, I pulled the cards for the reading for today. In addition, I use them as a support to the traditional teachings of this time of year. I use that to augment, the cards augment what spirit has to say, and it allows me to know that the cards pulled can sometimes, as they did today, surprise me very much. So therefore I know that my own biases and my own feelings about this moon cycle are not overriding or overarching the theme that is for this time. So I have a pistol packing cup of coffee made by my husband, and we're good to go. So in this particular moon cycle we have specific totems and specific attributes, and I'll talk about those. So in a perfect year, this moon cycle would run from the 25th of September until the 22nd of October. And again, the dates are different. The name of the moon cycle is Frost Comes Moon. And if you happen to have been born in this moon cycle, your totem would be cougar and your clan would be frog. The spirit keeper of this whole cycle, of what we call the autumn, is great grizzly bear, Mujikewis. The colors are white and green. The chakra associated with this is thymus, and thymus regulates our immunity, and of course our immunities are all being challenged with COVID. But in the fall, we start to have serious allergies and colds and flu. So this is the thymus time, the time when we would take care. Plantain is the healing plant we would pull and harvest. Water is the element. And again, as I said, it's Walks Tall Woman. So who is Walks Tall Woman? She is the guardian of leadership and the keeper of new paths, the mother of beauty and grace, and the keeper of innovation and persistence. She is the role model of health, physical fitness, stamina, and letting the heart's desire take the lead. The keeper of personal impeccability and the guardian of all forms of inner strength. Think about that. She teaches us how to be at our personal best and still be vulnerable and human. How to keep our bodies and minds flexible and in good health through advancing and retreating. How to seek and find new paths to growing and learning and leading by example. How to develop inner strength. How to attract and release that which no longer serves us. And basically how to walk in the truth. Well, that's really important between now. We are walking with integrity and truth, and by raising our vibration to that, even though the veil is thinner, the higher order, higher vibing ancestors, guides, teachers, and angels can connect with us at this time. So I want to get into the reading. And I pulled cards instead of the traditional way with starting in the east, going south, west, and north. I asked Spirit to guide me with starting with the now in the west position. So the first card we're pulling today is Turtle Mother Earth. And this is from the Shaman's Oracle. Wow, grounding. There are other cards that I pulled today from different decks and different positions that relate to exactly the same thing. The roots of abundance. So grounding, knowing that we are in a time where we are harvesting, we are getting ready to sustain ourselves through the winter with the harvests. I was surprised and pleased to see that the local farmers markets are extending their season to allow us to take in more harvest. But this is very much about coming into the time as we approach winter being extremely grounded. So that's a very, very important message for today. So if you're not feeling grounded, if you're feeling anxious, some people don't feel well with a new moon. Please know that in order to take in the teachings of this grandmother, who, as we know, shapeshifts between a crone, an older woman, a grandmother, an owl, and the moon itself, we need to be grounded, open, and listening, ears wide open, in order to hear what this grandmother has to say. And if we're not grounded, none of the messages of Spirit or her specifically are going to get through. And this reading pertains to the next 2 weeks until Halloween. So think of what you can do in this next 2 weeks. The card in the north position is the spiral. The spiral is, it made me chuckle because this is how we see the medicine wheel. We don't see it in this drawing. It's looking like we're looking down on it from above, and we're looking at it, this is a slinky. We're looking at it in this aspect as if it's two-dimensional. But it's very much this way, round and round and round. Every circle on this slinky represents a year. So as we walk and we grow, we are accelerating our vibration and our ability to communicate with Spirit. So this is recognizing that as we begin to assess what we've learned this year, that we are integrating and letting go that which no longer serves us, because this grandmother is about releasing what doesn't serve us and taking on what will allow us to walk with integrity and on the higher road, taking the higher road. What does that give us if we do these two things? If we ground ourselves and acknowledge what we need to gain and what we need to lose on this spiral, we gain wisdom. The Totem Owl on the east position of the next 2 weeks. Grandmother Walks Tall Woman shapeshifts into an owl. So this is very much a marker of this is a communication time, and I think this reflects the global ongoings right now. Spirit, we're part of this great web of life, as I talked about in last month's reading. This great web of life, and Grandmother Spider Woman, or weaves the web as we call her, wants us to know that we are not walking alone, that we are not disconnected from the whole. There is no us and them. It's we. So the wisdom of our connection, and the higher we vibe, we raise the vibration of those around us. It's as simple as that. That makes the flow of life easier. We're not struggling and resisting when we're in that headspace. And finally, if we do these three things, what we get is Coyote. Coyote sits in the south. Coyote is the one who knows when to play and be silly like a puppy, and when to fiercely guard and protect family and home and self. Sometimes when we're not grounded, when we're not aware of what we're learning, when we're not coming from a place of wisdom but from a place of reactiveness, we are not knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, to terribly paraphrase Kenny Rogers. Beautiful, beautiful acknowledgement of being stable and connected. So these 4 cards were from the Shaman's Oracle. The next cards I pulled relate to our sacred chakra centers, based on the 7 chakra system. Now, in indigenous culture, we use a 13 chakra system. But the first card was in perfect harmony. So this is the second energy center, or the sacral chakra, if you're following the 7 chakra system. To be in harmony means the energy is flowing. The energy that we put out in the world is not static. It's not meant to be static. And if we make beautiful music, it's wonderful and we feel good. If we make crappy music, that's how we're going to feel. So this is about doing that which supports the flow of your energy. The flow of your energy starts with this groundedness card, this roots of abundance, knowing that we do not have to be in fear, that the universe will provide. And if we are going with the flow, if we are grounded, if we are connected to the earth, life it's just better. We are in the now, we are in the moment. To live in the past is to be in the ghost lands. To live in the future, it doesn't exist. And if we project anxiety and fear, our current fear, as if it's in the future, waiting for the other shoe to drop, as my grandmother used to say, then we are creating that. We're actually manifesting that. So to be centered, to be grounded, to know. So our energy flows. We are grounded within the roots of abundance, and know that what is ours is never going to be denied us from spirit. And the card that shook me in all of this was number 21. It's the solar plexus chakra. This card is exposed and revealed. So I really had to sit with this for quite a few minutes and understand what this meant in terms of this whole reading. And this exposed and revealed is a card of shame. It is that which we feel ashamed about deeply within ourselves, that we may never talk to another about, but we definitely react to the world from a place of woundedness and shame. So that shame is a consciousness level, and if you take my consciousness course in the winter, you'll recognize that shame really reduces and lowers our vibration. People in shame overcompensate. They try to people please. They try to prevent anxiety, and they'll overwork themselves. Is shame something that Walks Tall Woman would want us to let go of, to release, because it doesn't serve us? You bet your boots. This is exactly. Most Indigenous people come from feelings of great shame, from the racial violations, from the intergenerational trauma, from the colonialism issues. But everybody has something they feel shame about. So this deeply took me aback, and it's something to think about in these next 2 weeks. And part of shame feels it's a victim place. We have been victimized in some way to cause us this trauma. So with our ancestors so close to us, with the veil so thin, it's an opportunity to heal this. This is one of the most important readings I think I've done so far, quite frankly. It touches me personally very deeply because I have shame issues about family, about community, about my health, my weight, my inability to be the perfect person I thought I would be. We all have those issues. So there are times that we need to look at, is this serving us? Is a lifetime of feeling shamed about something that happened in the past, is that pulling us back and leaking our energy? We need every bit of energy we've got because we're moving into the winter. So really nip this one in the bud. This is a time for ceremony and ritual to thank the ancestors and have them take it away. Not only thank the ancestors, but forgive those who are in spirit. Because forgiveness not only lets the thing go that we're ashamed about, but it heals us more than it heals the ones we are forgiving. So I pulled some final cards from a new deck that I've been working with by Jillian C. Wild called the Naked Heart Tarot. And I asked for information that would support us in this moon cycle between now and the full moon. And the first card I got was the Heart of Swords. The Heart of Swords is a cougar. Exactly one of the totems that's in our indigenous teachings. In this deck, the cougar represents what used to be called the Queen. The Queen of Swords. Swords is thinking, critical thinking, overthinking about shameful things. She is the bringer of love and compassion. And in this case, it's compassion for self. And recognizing that, I actually looked up this card on shame in Alberto Valloldo's shamanic oracle, and the concept of rethinking or reevaluating from a higher perspective. If somebody has triggered us, imagine that it's probably coming from their own place of awareness. And it's like drinking poison yourself, but thinking that the other person's going to die. The cougar wants us to see. She wants us to see in the dark. She is a creature of the night. She wants us in that dark, shadowy space of self to give love and not overthink and be critical. Beautiful card for this time. The second two cards are beginner cards, beginnings. This one is the Eight of Swords, in a sense. This is a double stability of the four, but it's, again, not sitting with. It was in reverse, so it's not sitting with. I don't want to show you the card in reverse because that's not helpful. But the Eight of Swords is about getting rid of that which no longer serves us, not sitting in a critical reality and going over and over again what I should have said, what I should have done. This is about letting it go. And the last card in reverse is the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups in reverse says, you have a new beginning emotionally. This is an octopus holding up the cup. It was in reverse. So when it's in reverse, it's cautioning us not to feel sorry for ourselves, but rather to say, okay, I've got an emotional new beginning here. And the Queen, the Cat Queen, is encouraging me to do that. When you have a new beginning, this is very much about walking with integrity, as Walks Tall Woman would have us do. And a card when I looked on my table that I didn't pull, but it's suddenly just sitting there, and I don't know how it got there. It didn't fly out of the deck, but Spirit obviously wants us to know, is the Ace of Swords, the Black Swan. Swords are air, it's about thinking, it's the brain. This is a new beginning in how we think. So if we do this, connect with the Queen, or the cougar, the embodiment of swords. If we let go and preen, cut away the dead stock of our thinking, we have a new emotional beginning, and we have a new intellectual beginning. So why would Waxtall want us to be that way? Well, we can't walk in our integrity if we're holding the baggage of shame and anything else, or being ungrounded. We cannot do this if we are ungrounded. Why would we need to? Because we're going into the winter. We have to have our critical thinking in a good and positive way. We've never entered the winter months in our lifetimes in a pandemic. We need to keep ourselves out of depression, out of a sense of fear and isolation, and know that if we stay connected with the Creator, with the higher power, we will walk in our integrity and just sail through this winter without the usual things like seasonal affective disorder. So if you get it and you know you get that, for example, what do? You get yourself some vitamin D3, and you get one of those seasonal affective disorder lights, the special lights. Be proactive. Take care of yourselves. But all we're talking about is the now. And the now, other spiritual leaders talk about just being in the 24 hours. This reading is about the next 2 weeks. All I'm asking you to do is build upon these teachings for the next 2 weeks. Anyway, thank you for allowing me into your space and for watching this video. And again, if you like it, subscribe. You'll get an automatic notice. And shoot us a comment if it's helpful for you. So, miigwech, nyoen, take care.